Welcome to the Growing Up Bananas podcast, where we dissect the perks and tribulations of being bananas.
I look so yellow, but I feel so white.
My name is Ethan. Alex is sitting next to me, and in many ways, I'm sitting next to her. What do we have in store today?
So today we'll be discussing the meaning of luck and why Asians love gambling. Kota is joining us a bit later. I'm really looking forward to that. Kota will bring a younger perspective on the banana discussion, so let's get into it.
So, Asians are superstitious at the best of times, and, whether it comes to birth, death, marriage, whatever it might be, just life in general. From your perspective, why do you think that is?
I think that's because it's probably a coping mechanism.
Yep.
So when I say that, I mean just based on the Asian history, the poverty. I guess it's for them a way of finding a silver lining. I wouldn't say silver lining, but it's just giving them hope, a sense of hope that things will get better. Do you know what I mean?
It's probably very similar to religion. So religion back in the day, and I don't want to offend anyone, but it was really for the less fortunate, because it gave the people hope that there was an afterlife, that this life may have sucked, but if you do the right thing and you listen to the principles taught, the next life you're going to benefit. So I think you're probably right. It's that sense of hope that is given to most Asians.
Yeah.
Can we think of a few, superstitions that just come to mind when it comes to, getting money or anything like that?
Well, let's talk about traditions.
Yeah.
Like lucky traditions would be Lunar New Year, where we hand out red pockets full of money to all the single or the young kids in hopes that it will come back to us this year 100-fold.
So the more you give, the more you will receive.
Exactly, which if you think about it is ridiculous.
It is very ridiculous.
But we do it. And I mean, I'm not going to complain if I'm the one receiving the money, but, so that's an example.
Yeah. I know with my family and, just wider circles I've been in, the number 8 is always a lucky number. You see a 888, suddenly it's become, it's really auspicious, things like that.
Yeah, you find it on all the number plates, Asian.
There's a lot of 8s around.
Yeah, I can tell if it's an Asian driver, if the number plate has 8s.
Why is 8 so important?
Well, 8 just represents prosperity, and I'm pretty sure it's to do with, one, it does look like the infinity sign. Could just be a coincidence, but also back in the day, I'm pretty sure in China, the money patches used to be it looked like a number 8. It was like a bottle that looked like a number 8. I don't know how to explain it.
I never knew that, but that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, it looked like this.
And that's why 8's important, or lucky.
Yeah. So it just represents money.
I know if you go into a typical Asian, particularly Chinese person's house, they're going to have all the same kind of statues. The money man.
The frog.
The frog.
With the money in the mouth.
Yep. Every restaurant has that. You have to have it. The cat.
Yeah. The moon ball. And then you have the money tree.
Money tree. We have quite a few money trees in our garden.
Yeah.
Hopefully it pays off.
But in saying that, the money tree has to specifically be in a particular place too, in the front of the house. And I think you have to have it at the back of the house.
Yeah. What I would say is we probably don't know enough about this, but we see it and it's quite amusing to us.
Yeah. And I mean, have you heard of the saying?
I'm going to hear it now.
The saying is, if you don't gamble, you don't know how lucky you are. And so for us, we see the funny things that our parents do, or even family do, in terms of having money trees. And for us, it's are we going to test it? You want to take a chances, so we'll do exactly what they did in hopes that it will bring us wealth.
Well, and that's the next thing. So gambling, and if there's two things we know Asians love, it's money, and it's fortune, or influencing fortune. So that's why gambling goes hand in hand. And in my opinion, I think that's why Asians love gambling.
No, definitely. That's definitely why they love gambling. I guess it's for them I'm going to test my luck out. Today might be the day that I win big.
Yeah, so you drawing again on what you said at the start, the potential to give you hope, influence your future, and making money at the same time. Makes so much sense now.
Yeah, it does.
The last thing, so we've played a little bit of mahjong in our time. I've spent way more hours viewing than you, probably.
Yep.
Just from what you've seen, can you think of any funny mannerisms or things that, I suppose, little twicks or perks or whatever you want to call them, that go with people who play mahjong?
Oh, okay, yeah. One would be someone subbing in for you and sitting on your sitting in your seat
And stealing all your luck.
and stealing all your luck. Or like if you're playing well and then someone subs in and sits in your seat for you, you start losing. It's because they've sucked up all your luck. Or when you're like drawing your cards and someone else draws for you, that's also meant to be like unlucky because they're touching your cards, which means that they could change your luck, which is just absurd.
It makes sense, right?
Totally.
But I mean, if you play with the serious players, and I've seen it over times watching family and things like that, like the seat selection is so key.
Yeah.
And if they have a bad night, they can blame it on the seat selection. It's, someone else, it's their fault why the cards weren't coming for you, etc.
I mean, I don't think that comes down to luck, who you sit behind. Like, I mean, if I'm sitting behind someone, like, it's great. I mean, lucky for them, I guess, in the sense that I'm such a crappy player that I just throw out, like, whatever cards I want. So I guess, in a way, it's luck if you do sit. Is it in front of me?
Except for those 2-1 balls, which you kept for some reason, but we can save that for another time. And then probably the last one, which is always quite funny if you've spent any time playing pokies at your local RSL or leagues club. If ever you see someone who's hit a lightning feature and they're waiting on 1 or 2 of those last coins to fill, you'll see so many people who just start absolutely spamming buttons, which has absolutely zero impact on the outcome, but for them, they probably feel like they've got some influence on it. Usually Asian people do it.
And also, like, not that we gamble a lot. Like, I'm not really big on gambling because I've seen what it can do
Can make you rich.
to
For the kids out
families and whatnot. But when we do actually go gambling, generally it's the poker machines. It's always the same machine that we go to because, like, I don't
We
know.
won once 5 years ago and we've lost every time
And
since.
we think that it's like a lucky machine. Or, I mean, it's also because we like the features. And I also find that I'm more drawn to the Asian machines.
Well, you know the game as well.
Yeah, but
You know what to look for because, again, you have total influence over the game.
Yeah. But I mean, but the Asian machines just make you feel so much more luckier. Like, I don't know. Like, it must just be the 8 symbol or like the fortune symbol. Like, you just like, God.
Double happiness ball.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. No, that was good. I think if there's, to sum it up, Asians love trying to influence their future with actions, auspicious actions usually, and if it can lead to money, that's great. So that's why they love gambling, in summary. So we've got Kota coming on later. It's going to be a fascinating chat with him, and looking forward to picking his brain and getting a bit of a younger perspective on what it means to be a banana and his life. So let's do it.
Yeah, I'm excited.
So it's a great honour today to have Kota join us. He's an extremely talented soccer player. I've actually witnessed it firsthand. We'll hopefully get a slightly different perspective on what it means to be a young Australian with Asian ancestry today. So how are you today, Kota?
Good, thank you. How are you?
Very well, very well. Thanks for coming, man.
No worries.
So we get this question all the time, and I'm sure you do as well. Where are you from? I usually pull their leg and be like, yeah, I'm from Brisbane. That's not the answer that they want.
Yeah.
So, yeah, sorry, man. Where were you actually from?
So I'm Japanese. Both my parents are Japanese. Born in Japan, but I've lived in quite a few places, like quite a range of different places. So, yeah, it's an interesting background, I'd say.
Yeah, looking forward to get into that. So whereabouts in Japan were you, and I suppose what's your earliest memories?
So I was born in a place called Nagoya, which is like in the middle of Japan, but I moved when I was 2. So,
right.
Yeah, so really no real memories of Japan, to be honest. no, honestly, no memories of Japan whatsoever.
And then where did you guys move to?
So from 2, I moved to Hawaii in the States. And then, so I pretty much grew up in Hawaii, like spent 6 years there until I was 8. And then from there, went back to Japan for a year in Tokyo, spent a year there. And then from there, like Beijing in China, Hong Kong, Phuket, Thailand,
Jeez.
Alice Springs in the Northern Territory, Gold Coast for high school, and then now Brisbane for uni.
So you say your dad was a teacher.
Yeah.
Why was he just like a normal school teacher?
My dad's actually a Japanese teacher.
Okay.
So, circumstances change and we just tend to move around a lot. But
Yeah, fair enough.
yeah.
I guess moving around so much, has that been a bit of a, I suppose, identity crisis because you're here, then you're there, and you don't really get to settle down anywhere?
Yeah. For myself, I'd say like, because I am Japanese and I look Japanese, like people expect me to like be Japanese a little
Yeah.
bit. But like I've moved around so many places like that it's not Japan. So it's like, it's kind of hard to like sometimes be Japanese in a way. But
Yeah.
it's different to a lot of people, I'd say. Yeah.
Well, you say be Japanese. What does it mean to be Japanese?
Like just like even like culture, like I just don't really understand like Japanese culture. Like I'll go back during the holidays and stuff, but like don't really feel like I fit in a little bit.
And why is that? Is it just because of the moving around, or is it because you didn't really grow up with your parents?
More so like I just haven't lived in Japan enough,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
like don't have enough Japanese people around me even here and stuff. So yeah, not too Japanese, I'd say.
Can you speak Japanese?
Yeah, at home, both my parents are Japanese, so at home we speak Japanese. But other than at home, honestly, I don't use Japanese at all.
Not when you go to a restaurant to try and show off a little
a little bit. But other than that, like I don't really have that many Japanese friends either here. So yeah, the times I actually use Japanese is pretty slim. Yeah.
And then your parents, so were they pretty, I know they're on the road and it's probably a slightly different upbringing to most. Were they quite sort of, I say not disciplined, but were they quite traditional?
Yeah. To be honest, not really. They're not really traditional like Asian parents, like strict on like academics, making me do like a lot of different stuff. Like they like when I was young, they like I did a lot of like different sport like swimming, golf, football and stuff, but that was just when I was young. They wanted me to like try new things, but once I was like 8, 9, 10, it was mainly just football mainly just football. So, but yeah, not too traditional, like strict at all. Not really. Yeah.
And how did you kind of adapt to the different places that you're in? Was it sports, so soccer to get you through?
Yeah. So I think it can be hard for people, but for me, it was mainly really through football. Like a lot of countries that I've been to have been like football orientated.
Yeah.
So like Hong Kong's British. In Phuket, I went to a British school. So like a lot of people played football. So that was like a really easy way to like make friends.
Yeah.
And, make connections.
So like I said to you off camera, I grew up in South Africa, made the move here when I was 12. And most of my friends that I've ever had are from sport. So quite lucky you play a team sport. Those guys become your friends. It's kind of an easy sort of low-hanging fruit.
Yeah.
And then you've got those guys around you and they just become your friends. So if I didn't have that personally, I don't know how I would have kind of got it done, and it sounds like pretty similar to you.
Yeah, it's definitely the same. Like especially in like school and stuff, because you're always together, like in class, and then like
Talking about
after
the
school.
game. And
Yeah. So most of the places I've been to, it's been like a school plus football environment. So like everyone you're with football is also in class. So like you're pretty much with them the whole day. So like it's definitely a really easy way to make friends. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I guess back talking about the Japanese stuff, do you guys carry many of the Japanese traditions today?
I'd say it's my dad is a Japanese teacher, and both my parents have lived in Japan their whole life, other than like when we've moved around. But until like school in Japan, uni in Japan, so they're very traditionally Japanese. But to be honest, yeah, they're not really traditionally Japanese. They don't make me do anything that I don't want to do. Like
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of Asian parents make their kids do things they don't really want to do. But for me, it's always been like my choice, and they always support what I want to do.
And then I guess being Asian, are you proud to be Asian, or does it even matter to you that you are?
Because I've grown up in like really like white environments, I'd say, like, but going to like international schools, it's kind of been diluted a little bit. Like,
Yeah.
I don't really feel like I am Asian, obviously, and I look Asian, but like my English is pretty. I'd say it's pretty good.
Very good, yeah.
And my Japanese, on the other hand, is actually not as good as my English.
Your dad won't be too happy about that.
Yeah, my dad's very not happy about that. Like, yeah. So it's a hard one because I'm a real mix of both. So
And a lot of countries as well.
Yeah, a lot of different countries. So I don't really have like something I not identify, but like
Nothing resonates.
Yeah,
with
resonates.
you.
Yeah, with me.
Because I'll admit, man, and I've said this before on the podcast, I kind of resented being Asian a lot when I was growing up.
Yeah.
Like I said to you before, went to mainly white schools.
Yeah.
I was always the smallest and the weakest and the smallest eyes and
Yeah.
those kind of things. And at some points, I was just like, why can't I just fit in and be normal? Because that's all you really want at that age.
Yeah.
And only recently, when I've got a bit older, I'm like, it's kind of cool because it makes you a bit different.
Yeah.
It's something. Well, it is who you are.
Yeah.
And it makes you who you are. So I've kind of grown to like that. But definitely growing up when I was younger, I probably resented it, just similar to you being in more Western environments.
Yeah.
Have you thought about that much?
Just in terms of whether or not I dislike being Asian.
Yeah, or whether you actually were proud about it.
I think like as I got older, definitely. I mean, like I said, I went to pretty much an all-white school up until I was 14, 15. And it was really eye-opening for me when I went to McGregor, where it was like full of Asians. And I think that's when I realized, when I met friends who had really similar values and upbringing, that it made me more proud, because again, I didn't feel like I was missing out on anything. Whereas like when I was younger, I think the difference was not really understanding that I am slightly different because of the way that my parents had brought me up compared to my, let's say, like non-Asian friends.
Yeah.
So I think I did resent that, maybe just more, not resent being Asian, but it was just the upbringing. So it could just be because my parents are strict. But I mean, like, there's so much, like now as you get older, like, love being Asian. The food's great. Love, like, there's so much culture. But I think for me, it's probably, there was no resentment. I'm not going to lie. I think it was just more the fact that my parents were strict.
Yeah.
And it could just be because they're Asian. I don't know.
So I guess probably the last thing on the Japanese side, there's two things that people always identify with Japanese. It's always good food and a good place to travel.
Yeah.
So home, when you were sort of moving around the different countries, did you guys eat a lot of traditional foods, or would you just eat whatever was around?
Yeah, my mum's a pretty good chef, like a really good chef. She loves cooking, so that always helps. Yeah, always at home, it's mainly Japanese food, but yeah, because we've lived in a lot of places, we love like trying different foods like where we live, so that's changed a lot. But yeah, at home when she cooks, it's mainly Japanese food. Yeah.
Okay. And then now, as a older guy, I say older, do you tend to like to go to Japanese restaurants, or no real preference?
Like, yeah, I'd say, I was actually speaking to this about my mom as well. Like, for like breakfast and stuff, like in like college and like boarding, it's always been like toast with like scrambled eggs and like really white like breakfasts. Yep. But for me, I actually really like just like rice, like traditional Japanese, more like Asian types of foods. So that's definitely probably because I've grown up in Asian like households.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd say I definitely prefer Japanese or Asian foods to white foods.
Cool, man. And then I guess let's talk about your school life. So you've moved around. I suppose let's kind of jump through most of it. But the last couple of years at school, you mentioned you went to the Southport School
Yeah.
on the Gold Coast.
Yeah.
How did you end up there?
Yeah. So before that, I lived in a small town called Alice Springs in the Northern Territory, and I didn't really enjoy it. It was
Can't imagine there was too many Asian
Yeah.
influences around.
Yeah, like no, yeah. In terms of football as well, like just didn't really enjoy it.
Yeah.
And then, but thankfully there was a guy there that used to work at TSS,
Right.
and then I just had a chat to him saying like, yeah, I really don't I want to move out.
How
And,
old
like,
were you at this point?
I was 14 at the time.
Okay.
But yeah, I knew because I'd been to like previous schools that were also really football orientated. I knew like there's definitely schools out there that are like environments out there that are way better than what I'm in right now. So I had a chat to him, and then yeah, pretty much just worked really hard for that whole year, and then thankfully he knew a lot of people in the Gold Coast because he'd like lived there before, and then thankfully he was able to like get me a trial at TSS, and then yeah, it all worked out.
Was he a teacher at your school?
He was a coach, so he did coaching his whole life, but he just lived in Alice Springs at the time.
Yeah.
And yeah, coincidentally, just all worked out.
And then what does the trial entail? Did you have to fly to the Gold Coast and do some drills or something?
Yeah, it was like I had to go like 3 or 4 times in that year, just for like trials. Like I'd join in like team training, so I'd just do like a week joining in their team, and then pretty much their coach would just watch, and it was very intimidating.
Oh, of course.
Going in like being 14, but yeah, I really wanted to like change my environment, so that's pretty much what I had to do.
Man, that's impressive at that age to
Yeah.
know that you need to change and then actually go after it
Yeah,
and get
yeah.
it.
I think it helped that I was previously at a school that was really like football orientated, so I knew it was like possible, because I had friends also at my old school that were going for scholarships at that age, or like even a little bit older. So yeah, I knew there was stuff out there, so that probably helped a lot.
So what was the experience like being at TSS?
It's very posh, very like typical TSS. Like everyone's image of TSS is pretty bang on, but the kids inside are like just kids. So like we all like, especially like boarding and stuff, we always used to like muck around. Like it's nothing like different to any other school. Like school, like education wise as well, it's just a school. So like what you learn isn't any like better than like a public school. But I think it's just the people you meet and the name value of being able to go to TSS is probably the biggest thing.
For those who don't know, TSS is an all-boys school on the Gold Coast.
Yeah.
As Kota said, quite a posh school. Yeah. What were your, I suppose, expectations? So you do the trials. You're obviously good enough. They want you on the team. You then, I guess, get ready to move to the Gold Coast. What were you expecting at that point?
So
because it's not just to play soccer. It's for school. It's a different lifestyle. Like you mentioned, you were boarding, so you're away from your parents again.
Yeah.
Can you take us through a little bit of that?
So before TSS, I go back to it again, but in Phuket, it was also like pretty much the same school like TSS.
Okay.
Really posh, like a lot of emphasis on sport. So I already had friends there that were like doing the same thing, like from like 13 pretty much. I had a friend from 13 that was getting like a full scholarship at this school for football.
Wow.
So I'd like already seen that previously. So I had a rough idea of what it was like the expectation like to perform really, from like people know that you're on a scholarship, so like you're really expected to perform.
You got to earn that scholarship.
Yeah, so I had already had an expectation of what it was going to be like, and it was pretty bang on, like a lot of pressure to perform, I'd say.
We'll talk about the soccer stuff a little bit later.
Yeah.
In terms of just daily life, did you have any conceptions before you went in?
Well, I knew it was a really posh school, and boarding was really different to like being in home. Boarding's ruthless, I'd say. Boarding's very ruthless. Like it's sink or swim. So like especially at like 14.
Oh
like,
yeah,
you
you're
have
not
to,
the
like,
top.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
not at the bottom, but
Yeah,
there's definitely
yeah.
guys above you.
Yeah, there's definitely guys above. So like, like in like, I was in like year 10, and like people in year 12 are like really like ruthless. But it's really good. Like it makes you like, you have to like stick up for yourself a little bit.
Resilient, right?
Yeah, you really have to stick up for yourself, or else you'll sink pretty much. Yeah, so I learned a lot in boarding, that's for sure.
So when you talk about boarding, so for those who don't know or have never experienced boarding, so you say like the year 12s were like tough on you. Do you mean like were they bullying you? What were they doing?
Like it's like they call it character building, but like it's pretty. Sometimes they take it too far.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
I think it is pretty good, like to have that like older people telling you what to do as well, because it's kind of similar to Asian environments, like respecting your elders a little bit, but it's you have to sink or swim, so you really have to like stick up for yourself.
Do you have one or two examples? You don't have to mention names or specifics, but anything that you can say just to paint a bit of a picture.
Yeah, I do actually. I don't know if this is there's a bit of a borderline, but it was like in boarding we had this thing called Tunnel of Love, which was like year 12s. There was like a common room area for like year 12s only.
Yeah.
And then like the year 11s going into year 12 had to like crawl on their knees, and then like the year 12s would just absolutely batter them, like
Just with fists?
Just absolutely
jeez.
batter them. And it's like a tradition. TSS is like really traditional, like it's big on like culture, and like this is like an unknown tradition, but like it's pretty big. Like it's been around for a while, and like it's pretty bad, but it's fun when you're at the top. But it's
That's it. Yeah.
It's not fun when you're copying it. But yeah, that's probably one of the main ones that I
Tunnel
remember.
of Love,
Yeah,
hey?
tough
Tunnel of Love. I thought it was going to be something else. But
Yeah.
And then you spoke about it a little bit before, so you usually adapted pretty well because of the sport. Did that help you in that environment?
Yeah, so a lot of the kids in boarding played football as well. So like it was really good. Like in the morning, for TSS we trained like in the mornings, so like from like before school, so like 6 a.m. till like 7:30. So like, because they were all in boarding as well, we'd all like get up together, and like obviously you don't want to miss training, so like we all like helped each other out. So it was a really good environment. Living on campus as well, it's really convenient and easy to just walk down.
So you really focus on the sport and the academics, and not too many other distractions.
Yeah, it's really good environment. For sure.
And then I guess the last on that is, how did you find the Gold Coast? So you've moved around. You went to the last stop before that was Alice Springs.
Yeah.
The Gold Coast, I can't imagine there's anything but the total opposite.
Yeah.
Did you enjoy that change of lifestyle?
Yeah, I was actually speaking off camera as well, but I was just always like, I literally had no time, like, because I was there for football.
Yeah.
I had like football, and then I also played club outside, so it was really like mainly focused around football. So I didn't actually I don't remember one party that I went to or like went out in during that time. It was mainly just a lot of football, and like obviously studying. Like year 11, 12 was more study as well, but yeah, I cannot remember one party that I went to during that time.
Well, I guess in your mind you've realised that you're there for a reason.
Yeah.
Again, you said your parents they weren't especially well off, so this was your opportunity to really get that good education and further yourself in football as well. So you're probably mature enough to realise that there's a bit on the line there.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, money's on the line, I guess. It's the facts. I'm getting money to play football and to represent the school. So I think it's, even at that age, I like understood that it's my responsibility to like conduct myself in that way. Yeah. Yeah,
nice. So Kota, you're obviously a very talented soccer player. When did you actually start playing, and when did you really fall in love with the sport?
Yeah, so early on, my parents tended to wanted me to try different types of sports. So as I said before, like swimming, golf, other types of sports. But by 8, 9, 10, I realized football is what I wanted to do. And I'd say, yeah, that age, especially when I went to Hong Kong, was probably when I really realized like football is what I wanted to do, because Hong Kong is really like British focused, and I went to like a British school as well.
Yep.
And a lot of my friends were like British, I guess, and really liked football. So I guess that environment really made me play football a lot. And yeah, as I was saying before, like football was the way I made friends. So like
Yep.
at that age, it's like competing a little bit. Like the better you are at football, like the more friends you have a little bit.
Course.
Like at like that 10 age, 10, 11, 12. So yeah, that's definitely probably when I really started playing football.
And were you always good?
I don't want to say I was always good, but like I
Because
definitely.
a lot of guys get good later on,
Yeah,
and some
yeah.
people peak really early. So
Yeah.
I peaked probably way too early.
Yeah, I probably peaked a little bit too early as well, to be honest. I'd say yeah. At that age, I was pretty. I'd like to think I was pretty good. Yeah.
And I guess now, so you're playing at a very high league or high level. Sorry, what does your usual in-season training week look like?
Yeah. So right now I'm at Lions right now with the 23s, and we train 3 times a week on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday. Sorry, Monday, Tuesday, Thursdays.
Yep.
And then we have a game on either Saturday or Sunday, and that's mainly so 4 times a week, which is not too bad. But when I was at TSS, that's when it was really, really bad. Like I had training in the morning from like 6 till 7:30 before school. I had that like 3 times a week.
Yep.
And then I also played club like externally.
Oh, yeah.
So that I had that 3 times a week. So that's like 6 during the week, and then games for both. But like normally they like double up on
the same day.
On the same
Yep.
day. Yeah. So in those cases, obviously I'd prioritize the TSS football. So yeah. So that was probably the most in terms of like the amount of times that I played football. That's probably the most condensed time.
And in between all that, there'd be fitness sessions, strength and conditioning, and things like that. So it's not just
It's not,
running around and kicking a ball for an hour every day.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I suppose there's been a lot of sacrifices as well. You spoke about it before. You didn't really party too much when you were at TSS, kind of stayed on the straight and narrow. Can you think of other sacrifices, not to say you missed out, but anything else along the way, dieting, just for example, things like that? I guess if you think about a typical kid who's not playing elite sport and what they got to do versus what you had to do to stay in.
Yeah.
On the
Like
track.
I'd say like in like boarding and stuff, we always had like activities, or like even now. Actually, now is probably the better time.
Because you're in college.
Because in college, yeah, college is probably the time. At college, everyone like parties a lot. Like there's a lot of events or like social events that obviously I do want to go to, but like most of them I miss because I have football, and that's probably the biggest one. Like all my friends say like, oh, you're a little bit boring. Like you should like go out a little bit, but like, yeah, sometimes I just have to sacrifice that a little bit to play football.
Do you feel like you're missing out?
Yeah. A lot of the time, a little bit, but yeah, so that's just the price you have to pay, I'd say.
That's it, man.
Yeah.
Have you seen The Last Dance on Netflix?
Last Dance? Yeah, I have. Yeah.
So you see all the things, like even you listen to stories about Kobe. I don't know if you're a basketball fan, but they basically said they sacrificed their whole lives really to achieve what they did, and out of it, some of them had friends, some of them had nothing else, but they achieved greatness, and that's the price to pay, really.
Yeah.
So, kind of is what it is.
Yeah.
In terms of a support system, so you moved to TSS, you obviously had some good coaches and things like that along the way. Is there anyone that's really, really influenced yourself to get to this position? Is it parents, family, someone?
Yeah, I'd say parents. Yeah, parents are a pretty big one. They're pretty, like especially my mum's pretty like a little bit ruthless at times.
Yeah.
I guess you could say
Is it
that's
about
typical.
soccer or just about life?
Like a lot of things, like but a lot of football as well. Like she's always like instilled that like if you don't work hard, you don't really get anything. I guess that's a Asian. If that's probably the only thing that's like Asian about my parents.
Yep.
Is like working hard, instilling that you have to like work to get there. Like especially before that like trial period for TSS that year, always used to like push me like, do you really want to like move away? Like do you have to like, you have to do it yourself.
Yeah.
And like no one else is gonna really do this for you other than yourself. So yeah, they're definitely a really big factor for where I am now. And also, yeah, just coaches in general, I'd say some good, some bad. But I remember one when I was in Phuket, I really just remember him being really like tough but fair. And I think that's what I really like.
Yeah, that's what you want in a mentor or a coach.
Yeah, I mean, once you get to that age, it's not really about like participating. It's more about like winning and like performing. And yeah, I'd say he was really, really big for me. Yeah.
So we touched on it a little bit before, so the pressure to perform. I'd like to talk a little bit more about it. So when you're on a scholarship, like you said, a couple of guys, I think you might have said it off camera, a couple of guys lost their scholarships for various reasons.
Yeah.
Because you're a 15, 16, 17-year-old, how do you actually like put it all into perspective that you're pretty much a professional player at that point?
Yeah, I keep going back to this other school, but because I'd seen like the similarities, like in my other school it was actually even worse because people would like talk behind the scenes, like, oh, this guy should be this guy should, like comparing like even like scholarship amounts and like amount of money, and like, yeah, it's because I'd seen that, and that was like way worse than what it was at TSS. I already had like that expectation that like I was gonna get like judged, and yeah, but like going into it, I thought I was like, because I was on a scholarship, I was expected to perform.
Yep.
And that like first year, actually, I didn't make the first 11, which is what it's called, like the top team.
So you were 2 years under?
Yeah, so I was 15 at the time. I was in year 10, and I didn't make that team, and that was really tough because like it wasn't really an age excuse either, because there were like 3 or 4 other year 10s that were in that team as well.
Right.
So like I couldn't really blame the fact that I was year 10.
Blame it on race?
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
It was mainly like, yeah, just ability.
Yep.
Like I realized like I need to like work way harder than what I am right now. So I worked hard to get there, but then even then it was like, because I was on a scholarship, there was even more expectation for me to perform. So I remember that year, that holiday period, I worked even harder to like get into that first 11 next year.
Yep.
And yeah, thankfully I did. But I just remember like that period is I remember that really.
Well, I'm picturing you at 15. You must have been quite a bit smaller.
Yeah.
Playing against, 2 years difference at that age is huge.
Yeah.
Guys are starting to mature and things like that. And obviously in soccer, it's become quite a physical game.
Yeah.
Blame it on the size, maybe.
Yeah, I've always been pretty small, and sometimes people say that's why, but I don't really like to think.
There's no excuses.
Yeah,
right?
There's no really excuse. Like, that's your body, and like you can change that obviously. And like, I'm not big right now, but I've definitely have grown since what I was at 15.
Yeah.
So it's definitely something you can change and something I work on. But yeah, I don't think that's something I could blame at that age. It was just ability.
Like, I find it really interesting that you're saying like the pressure was more. It sounds like the pressure that you're feeling is more from yourself. Like, you're actually putting the pressure on yourself more than, let's say, like your parents and like your. Well, did you feel any pressure from friends and teammates?
Yeah.
Other than like from your previous experience at your other boarding school or other school, but can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, actually, because I was in boarding at TSS, everyone in boarding like that didn't play football would always ask like, when I was in year 10, would always ask like, oh, are you in the first 11? Did you make the team? And like when I didn't make it, it was really like, it was embarrassing, like to be someone that's on a scholarship and not make that team.
Yeah. So
that was also a really big factor. Like, I didn't want that embarrassment from like my friends in that boarding environment. So that was also another really big thing that pushed me to.
Sounds like that was a bit of a turning point as well. Like you said, you worked harder, grew a little bit, and made you the player who you are today.
Yeah.
Don't want to talk too much about my experience, but played decent level sport from a young age, and I kind of, because I was under some sort of pressure, similar pressure to what you were under, I kind of stopped enjoying it at a really young age. Like I said to you, I kind of, I would say retired, but I stopped playing at like early 20s because it was just every game, every training, you're just expected to put in the numbers and to be the player that people are expecting, and it just got a bit much for me. So I really respect the guys who've made it to the top and then can keep going, or guys who even just make it to the top. Can you talk about any of that where potentially, you're still young, but where you've maybe fallen out of love with the game and things like that? Has there ever been a point?
Yeah. I'd say that's been more recently, like at college, like seeing, I really think the environment, people that you're around and the environment really influence who I am personally, like who I am. And recently at college, it is at times really difficult. Like everyone around you's like partying and like staying up till like 2 a.m. and like messing around, and obviously that's fun. So sometimes I do want to do that at times.
Yep.
But yeah, in the end of the day, like I enjoy football. I still really enjoy football. I'm gonna play for Lions next year, so, and I've already made that commitment. Although I have thought about it for quite a while, but yeah, it's more recently I'd say. But at TSS, it was, I didn't feel like that at all at TSS. It was
Probably fueled you more than anything.
yeah, I'd say, because the environment was really like everyone around. All my friends were played football. A few people in boarding played football, so that environment made me like want to make the first 11 and keep playing football.
Well, from what I know, I don't think college is the most conducive environment for a up-and-coming professional soccer player, but hey, it's so it's where you are at the moment. So.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it definitely isn't, but for myself, because my parents live in Alice Springs, it's very difficult. It's a very difficult place. Like, it's hard. Other than college, I wouldn't really have anywhere else, to be honest. So, especially in first year, I think the reason why I chose college was because in first year I could have moved out by myself, but I just think that would be really a little bit lonely.
You got to do everything, and
yeah. So I think just for the first year, I just want to like meet new people, because I'm in a complete new environment in Brisbane as well. I don't really know anyone in Brisbane, so I just wanted to use college to like meet new people. But yeah, it's definitely fun, that's for sure.
Yeah, I was gonna say, how's the experience been? So almost 1 year down, like you say, brand new environment. You're used to being thrown into the deep end.
Yeah.
How's the first year gone?
Yeah, it's again, it's very different. College is a lot of freedom. Like, it's like boarding, but a lot of more freedom. Like in boarding, we had to like get parents' approvals to like go out, even to like go to your friend's house, or like even to walk across the road to like to the shops. You had to like tell the main guy. But in college, obviously, like everyone's adults, everyone's over 18. Well, most people are over 18.
Yeah.
So you have that more freedom to just do what you want. But then also it comes down to your own responsibility as well. So, but yeah, I definitely enjoy that more than boarding. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
for
for
sure.
Well, then, like, what do you do for your free time now? I mean, if you're not going to parties because you just feel like you can't, what do you do for free, like in your free time?
Off season
Like,
now.
Yeah, you're off season. When
Studying. He's in the library, everyone.
Yeah, off season now. Yeah, I went like off season now. Recently, I do more of that, because I mean it is fun. Like
And you're 19, man.
Like, it is fun.
You're only gonna be the same once.
Yeah, exactly. So like I'm in college, so like may as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, free time. Yeah, a lot of studying. A lot of studying. Well, again, like the environment thing. In my we have like little wings, but in my wing, it's a lot of them study, which is a really good thing. I prefer that. So, cause I'm around them all the time, I feel like I study with them as well. So like they all go to the library as well.
Yeah.
So I think that's really good. Like,
Yeah, man.
especially in a college environment, it's sometimes hard to find people that like actually study.
Like-minded. Or,
Yeah. So yeah, I think it really comes down to like the environment you're around, really shapes who you are, I'd say. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. I guess going back to soccer then, so who were your heroes growing up? Did you have a favorite player, favorite team?
Mine's pretty vague. Mine's Iniesta. I don't know if you know who Iniesta. Yeah.
Yeah.
Iniesta's been my favorite. Like same position, same height, I guess. So I've always looked up to him. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Your workhorse.
yeah. Do you have one?
My favorite player was always Johan Cruyff.
Oh really?
Yeah. So I pretty much bought FIFA 22 just so I could get him in it. Do you play Ultimate Team?
Yeah. Oh, I don't have. I actually don't have FIFA. But yeah, I play all the time with my friends. So
Yeah.
I know
So
who Johan Cruyff
I
is.
ground extremely hard. Pretty much bought the game just to get him. So he's my favorite player.
Fair
And then
enough.
do you follow many of the leagues? You don't have to say you follow the A League, but
No comment. No comment. But yeah. I watch football all the time.
Yep.
And yeah, like Premier League, like Champions League and stuff. I watch it all the time.
I mean, like the only player that I know is like Mbappe, and then like Messi, and like just
PSG fan.
Yeah, and Ronaldo. Like literally, those are the only players that I know.
Well, man, I really enjoyed talking about the soccer stuff. My last question would be, and this is kind of a bit off topic, do you notice guys that you think are a certain way off the field play a similar way on the field? I'll tell you why, because I've been playing indoor for a few years, and again, I'm not going to mention names, but some of the guys I play with, the loveliest guys, gentle and calm and soft-spoken, and then you play and they're just absolute pricks. Won't pass, won't run back. And you're like, is this their actual personality? Or who are they off the field? Is that who they actually are? I don't know. Have you ever thought about that?
Yeah, like I think it depends on like how competitive you're playing. Like if you're just playing like indoor, I would just play casually. But
Yeah.
I think if you want to play at higher levels, especially like applies to any sport. I think even like hockey and stuff. Like when you get to that age and that like higher level, I think it's about winning, and sometimes it's okay to be a little bit of a prick if you like yeah. Actually, at Lions they tell us quite a lot. Like it's okay to be a little bit of a prick. to the
Yeah,
other
for sure,
team.
man.
Just that could be the difference between winning and losing. And like that doesn't mean that's your personality. I don't think. I think it's just part of the game, and especially at that high level, obviously. But
Yep.
yeah, I wouldn't say that's necessarily their personality. I think it's just they just want to win, and that's fine.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, because you like your mentality when you play not even sports, even games, is to win.
Yeah.
So he is a prick.
Yeah, so,
Yeah.
so my personality on the court or the field is
Yeah.
Really
is who I am.
competitive.
Yeah.
So anyway, I thought I'd go on that. So we spoke a little bit about it before off camera. So living in Australia, who do you tend to hang out with? I know Alex can kind of lead this one.
Yeah, like because you mentioned as well that, you know, like with your mom, she tends to gravitate towards not just even Asians. It was just more Japanese people, whereas your dad's more, you know, whoever. But for you, like, who do you find yourself gravitating towards? Like, does it matter?
Yeah. During school, I'd say it's changed a little bit. During school, it was mainly people that played football.
Yeah.
As I've said before, like
Yeah.
it's the easiest way to like make friends.
Friends.
But I'd say recently it's a mix of both, like being like people that are Asian as well as like people that play sport, like football. 'Cause like going back to college, in our wing I'd say our wing is the one that has the most like Asian people, or like diverse. It's probably the most diverse wing.
Yeah.
I don't know if they've done that on purpose.
Yeah, I
don't know.
was gonna say, I'm like,
Yeah.
is this?
These guys will all
Yeah.
study hard together.
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
I don't know if that's a purposeful thing, but that just happened to be how it is. And I definitely enjoy that environment as well.
Yeah.
Also, like coming from like international schools, like I definitely do enjoy hanging around with like people from like multiple backgrounds, not just Asian as well.
Yep.
But I feel like like not fit in, but like I get along with it and I can like relate with them more than like just straight people that have lived in Australia, grown up in Australia their whole life. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of random, but my commonality when I was younger was if they were WWE fans, if they liked wrestling. Like I'd go anywhere and like I'd go to I don't know, like family get-togethers, and if someone was happy to talk about wrestling with me, that would be enough. So I guess for you, it's like you said that if they like football, if they like soccer, that's kind of the first thing, and now it doesn't really matter too much about race.
Yeah.
So the guys in your in your wing or your dorm, um, do you feel like more comfortable with them, or is it just because they seem to be a pretty good influence on you?
Yeah. I was actually having a conversation with one of the kids in my wing. Like, friends are actually just like who you're most convenient with. So like, people that like you're always around tend to be your friends. So
Yeah.
like, so I'd say like people in my wing, I definitely get along with them, like for sure. Like, but like a few of them, not naming names, but like a few of them, I'd say, are just because they're like there.
Yep,
And like I think that's fine. Like I think there's nothing wrong with it. You don't think you have to be friends with everyone.
that's right.
But definitely a few of them I really do get along with. The ones that tend to like study a lot as well, because I guess we have the same values.
Yeah, again,
We
like
prioritize.
it's different at TSS, but you know your families are paying for you guys to be there,
Yeah.
a handsome sum.
Yeah,
You don't want to waste a year or two.
yeah, exactly.
So I guess you've been all over the world at various stages of your life. How have you found Australia in particular in terms of racism or racial tolerance? Have you had any influence or any instances where there has been any issues?
Yeah, I'd say, Australia's probably where I've seen it the most.
Yeah.
Because predominantly where I've lived have been Asian countries, so you don't really get racism towards Asian people in Asia, obviously. But yeah, Australia, and especially like Alice Springs being like a really like niche community with like a lot of people that have only really lived in Alice Springs their whole life, like grew
Yeah.
up there. So yeah, Alice Springs is probably where I cop like not myself, me a little bit, but like seen it the most.
Yeah.
But I think I don't really cop it that much because, like, I'm pretty like white. I'm pretty white. Like I don't
you
have
can
an
you can
accent.
speak
Yeah,
good
yeah.
English.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
you know you're good at sport. You were simulating and
Yeah,
all that.
so like I don't have an accent. I feel like accents are pretty one of the bigger ones that people tend to pick on, but I don't have that. Like most of the time, my English is actually better than theirs. So like it's not even like
Yeah, your Aussie accent is actually pretty strong.
So how long have you actually been here for? Like 5 years?
yeah, like 5 years, but it's changed. Like I used to have a British accent when I used to like live back then, but
Makes
then like
sense.
it's kind of changed. Like some words are pronounced differently,
Yeah,
but then like yeah, I guess because I was more young then,
yeah.
so like I had a British accent, but then now it's changed a little bit. So yeah, it's pretty weird pronunciation.
You
of
can
some
just
words.
adapt.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, because you've been to so many places.
I guess yeah.
But you mentioned like you haven't so much copped it, but you've seen it. But like when you talk about the racism, like what are you seeing
Yeah,
or hearing?
Yeah. Is there any one or two examples that you can share with us?
example.
Is it just passing comments and
Yeah, like we mentioned like forming groups. So like it's not really like anything said but like it's pretty clear like the Asian people hang out with Asian people, the African people hang out with African people. This was more in Alice Springs,
Yeah,
I guess, because it's a niche community. So I did see that a little bit, but maybe like little comments or like nothing too like I don't want to say nothing too major because like racism is racism, but like nothing too bad. But just like just the group forming is probably just an indication of like
it's like sort of bit of
a little bit of
segregation within?
segregation. Yeah.
And then my last one, would you have any advice for your younger self? So how did it affect you that you guys had to move around so much? Or was it after the first 2 or 3 stops, you're like, this is just my life, I'm just going to have to get over it?
Yeah. Like when I was like that age moving around, like I really didn't want to move around. Like 2 or 3 times in, like I was just like
Because you meet a friend and then you
yeah.
leave them and
Exactly.
carry on.
Like I would always make friends and then like have to cut them off, and then like so like back then I really like hated it moving around so many times. But now like I look back on it, I think I actually wouldn't change a thing. Like I think I was at the right place at the right time. Like for example, like Hawaii, I was there from 2 till 8. I don't even remember 2 till 8, so 6 years. But like I think I was there. Being in Hawaii at that time was probably the perfect time to be in Hawaii. Like it's a really like laid back, not so much competition, like, you know, and I think that's good for like to that age group. But I wouldn't swap it to like now, like to like because obviously the older you get, the more you want to compete. Well, for me personally, I want to compete, and like, so I was actually like looking back on it, I wouldn't change a thing, like the order or like the fact that I've moved around so much, because I think it's a really unique
Yeah,
experience
for sure, man.
that not many 19-year-olds can say they've done. But yeah, definitely at the time, like moving around, I really did not like it, like moving around.
Do you think it's had any effect on you today? If it hasn't, that's also fine. Because I know it would for me.
Yeah.
Just to move from one country to South Africa,
Yeah.
it's had a pretty big effect on me in a lot of different ways.
Yeah. I'd say, yeah, for like, in terms of like having like childhood friends, like a lot of people tend to like go to the same school,
Yes.
be in the same environment their whole life, and even now, like born, raised Brisbane, so like they know a lot of people in Brisbane, so like it's really a comfortable environment for them. But like I don't really have that anywhere. Like I don't have any like really childhood friends. So like actually the other day, yesterday actually, my friends from Phuket were in Brisbane, so we all like hanged out. And,
Oh,
like, that's
nice,
kind
man.
of it's kind of
that's
nice.
nice.
Yeah, it's nice to have like people from like ages ago, and like it's pretty nice to like reminisce about like old memories. But yeah, I'd say like because I don't really have like childhood friends, it's a bit different to a lot of people. But I don't think I wouldn't say it's necessarily a bad thing, and I wouldn't like take it away to like just live in one place. Yeah.
Because I'm imagining at every stop, it's okay. So I've been here, here, and here. Next one, I've been here, 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 and here. And
Yeah.
you just have to kind of tell the same story. And
Yeah.
some people take it different ways.
Yeah.
And you probably just get sick of having to tell that story. But like you said, it's made you who you are now.
Yeah.
It's got you to this point.
Yeah. I definitely wouldn't change it. That's for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's awesome, man. So Alex is just going to ask you a series of short answer questions. There's no right or wrong. It's just whatever you think. First thing that comes to mind, don't think about it too much. And yeah, it's just an opportunity for everyone to just get to know you a little bit better. So fire away.
All right. First thing you do in the morning.
First thing I do, I shower. I can't.
Very first thing?
Yeah, very first thing I wake up and then I shower. Like I can't. Yeah, I'm one of them. Like I just feel like really bad if I don't shower. Yeah.
Fair enough.
And have you always been like that?
Yeah, I'd say so. Like since boarding, I'd say.
Okay.
Like I just like. Yeah, I can't
not
do
shower.
things without showering. Like I can't go to breakfast without showering.
Fair enough. Would you prefer unlimited time or unlimited money?
Right now, I'd say unlimited money.
Yeah.
Right now, I'd say unlimited money. But I think if you've got to the point where you have a lot of money, I feel like you'd go the other way.
Yeah, exactly.
And you have a lot of time on your side.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. You always want what you don't have, I guess.
Yeah. Would you prefer physical strength or mental strength?
I'd say mental strength. Yeah, I'd say mental strength. Probably because that's something I want to work on more than physical strength.
Giving gifts or receiving gifts?
Giving gifts for sure. Yeah.
Right. It's the exact opposite to me, but it's cool.
Would you be friends with yourself?
That's a hard. I've actually never thought about that. Would I be friends with myself? Depends who I am. Like the friend is. Like I feel like I'm a pretty like specific person. Like I don't need to be friends with everyone. So like some people probably not. But like if we have a lot of common interests, I'd say so.
Do you think you would make a good friend?
If you
I'd
have
like to think so. I hope so. Yeah, I think so.
Like you said, it depends on the other
Yeah.
person and
Yeah,
what they're
yeah.
hoping to get.
Yeah.
Sleep in or midday nap?
Midday nap.
Nice. If you receive an envelope with the date of your death in it, would you open it up?
Yeah. Yeah.
And what would you do with it?
Well, I'd just open it up out of curiosity for sure. Like I'd probably like leave it for a little bit and then like be like, actually, I kind of want to know.
Yep.
What would I do with it?
Do you think it would change a lot about
Yeah,
what you'd do?
I probably would. I'd probably
More
like
parties.
squeeze. Yeah, I'd probably squeeze in what I could until that time.
That's fair enough.
if you could have a measuring scale above everyone's head, what would you want to measure? So, for example, like imagine money or happiness. If you wanted to be able to see,
And only you could see
and
it.
only you could see it.
Probably what they think of me is probably what I'd want to know.
Okay,
Yeah.
That's good.
that's fair enough.
then-
And
The last one is that it's not really on this list, but we used to do it was, would you pause time or rewind time if you had the chance?
Pause or rewind?
Yep.
I'd say rewind.
What would you say that?
If it was the other way around, like future or rewind, then I'd probably go future. But I like, there's a few things that I like really miss. So definitely, yeah, I'd rewind a few of them. But if it was
Okay.
between pause or rewind, yeah, definitely rewind.
can I ask what is it that you miss?
Like, or like just like environments in like boarding or like having fun with friends. Like Phuket was a really big one that I really enjoyed.
It sounds like that was a
Yeah.
huge
Yeah,
time of your
I've
life.
gone
man.
back to that quite a lot, but Phuket was probably when I had like the most fun in terms of like football friends. So I'd definitely go back to then.
Because
Yeah.
how old were you again when you were in Phuket?
I was like 11 till 13.
And I guess
like-
the pressure, you didn't have that pressure on you as well to
Yeah.
like to play
Yeah.
soccer at such a
Yeah.
Playing a lot for
I
fun
love it.
and
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
just
was-
enjoying being a kid.
Yeah. No like school pressure or like anything else. So it was just we had like a massive friend group. Like yeah, the few people that came from yesterday were also in that like massive friend group, and we all just like went to school. Some of them played football as well, so it was like really easy, and that was when I had the most fun, I'd say.
Well, the silver lining to that is you can always go and visit them.
Yeah, but the thing is, they're all international. So
Oh,
they're all like
everywhere.
they're all like spread around everywhere. Like,
So these all players.
oh
soccer
no, like
players?
not
Not really?
really. Like it's like a group of like guys and girls, and we all just like it's a pretty big group, but like we all just used to hang around, and like a lot of them play football as well, but yeah, they're all because it's like such an international environment. Everyone's kind of similar to me, I guess, like moving around all the time, so like it'd be hard to like see them because they're all at uni now. So like a lot
Yeah.
of them went to like UK, a lot of them went to UK or like the US for uni. So
And has anyone you played with along the way, has anyone made it to like any of the big leagues yet?
yeah, one of my friends from Phuket, he
Is
he
he
was
is
the
he
one-
Thai?
No, he's Norwegian
Okay.
and Swedish.
Is his name Haaland? No.
Yeah, he actually saw Haaland because he's in the Norwegian national team.
All right.
Oh,
He was
nice.
saying like he saw Haaland in one of the training camps, but he plays in Portugal now for a team called Sporting Lisbon.
Oh, yeah, it's Ronaldo's old team.
Yeah, Ronaldo's old team. So he's on like a youth contract there,
Awesome.
but he probably will make his like first team debut soon. Well, I hope so then I can watch him on TV or maybe even go see him.
That's
But
so
yeah.
cool, man, because
Yeah.
you're going to have, and hopefully you're in there too, but you're going to have all these guys that you've met
Yeah,
internationally, like say he's from Norwegian or
yeah,
whatever he was, and he
Yeah.
was in Phuket,
yeah,
now he's here, and
yeah,
it's going to be cool, man.
yeah. It's pretty amazing.
And then what's next for you?
For me, so I want to get into physio next year. That's my like main goal at the moment. And then also for football, I want to keep playing at Lions and hopefully make the first team there is what I'm trying to do at the moment. Yeah.
Cool, man. And I suppose what's the next steps? Just keep at it, keep training, doing
Keep at
the
it.
things.
Yeah, try not to get distracted at college. That's
Pretty tough.
It's a pretty big one, yeah. But yeah, definitely keep playing and keep studying as well. That's a big one for me as well.
Cool, man. Well, thanks so much for your time, and good to really, like I said, you really do have a pretty unique story.
Yeah.
So thanks a lot for sharing that with us, man.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's lovely to meet you.
Lovely to meet you too.
Thanks.